Welcome best and brightest on how to prioritize and source opportunities. This video, we're going to transition from consolidation planning regarding mergers, acquisitions, and affiliations into how to prioritize specific opportunities that exist in the market and how to look at and approach those deals. So let's take a look. Prioritizing and sourcing is going to be about three things. The first is developing a candidate matrix. This will allow you to take all the ideas that you've created in previous videos and put them into a grid that will allow you to prioritize the options and see the playing field from a holistic viewpoint. The next part is partner selection. This will be about what you're looking to do and how to approach potential partners, how to prepare to do that so that you can source new deals. So let's dive in. The candidate matrix. This is by no means all-encompassing. We had to shorten the grid down just to fit it on the screen, but it's far more in-depth than what you see here. But this is a way to assess the candidate looking at, on the blue side, from the ideal profile that you had created, and in comparison to the actual organizations that are in the grid. The red is assessing the strategy and risk. We had talked about this in another video, where you look at the risks associated with entering current markets that you're in or new markets. And do you do that with services that you're familiar with or unfamiliar with? And the more the unknown, the more the risk factors increase. And on the green side, the strategic priorities, this is where you identify what your organization needs for the future, whether that be fundraising, a strong brand to partner with, large cash reserves, specific expertise in a particular program. So the more check marks that you have here in comparison to the organizations, the types of organizations that are in the gray, this allows you to assess and prioritize and really get your head around seeing the whole picture so that you can have discussions with your board, with your senior leadership team about your options. Next, in moving from that matrix, that grid, into identifying potential partners, it's really about narrowing it down to a list of 3 to 5 potential candidates that you want to approach. And as you approach them, you want to be aware of one thing, and that's exclusivity. And what I mean by that is, do you want to approach one at a time and see how those conversations go? Or do you want to approach all 3 to 5 and hope for the best, and maybe 1 or 2 opportunities come from those conversations? It's really important to be able to assess that and build agreements, as we had discussed before in one of our first videos, our earlier videos, ensuring that the board is agreeing to the pace at which you're going to move, whether that's a one-on-one relationship or you're going to approach 3 to 5 at the same time. Also, you want to be aware of big opportunities that might exist in the market. Those big opportunities can be a catalyst for deals moving forward, or just areas to watch out for. And those are things like CEOs retiring, or organizations in financial trouble that may need the resources that your organization has as strengths. And so being aware of those is really important, because it can be a catalyst to driving urgency on the other organization's part to generate deals more rapidly. So how do you reach out? How do you source a deal? The best way to do that is just a cup of coffee. Usually this is a cup of coffee between CEOs, and they sit down and they talk about the potential opportunity. So given that we want to be intentional about starting those meetings or engaging in those meetings, we want to be prepared to have those sit downs, those cups of coffee with potential candidates. So the 3 areas that you want to be prepared are, number 1, being able to discuss your why. Why are you doing this? What's the strategic rationale behind it for your organization? This will allow you to influence the other party sitting at the table, and is really important for you and your team to understand, and it's something that we had covered in a previous video. The next is really understanding the value proposition that you offer. So what is your organization's value to the other, and vice versa? Because you want this to be a reciprocating relationship. So you want them to know that you see value in their organization, and how that affiliation, that merger, that acquisition would pair up. And then lastly, it's creating or being able to communicate what the process could look like going forward. You want to be able to offer or plant a seed around what that process should look like, leaving that cup of coffee. And that could be to have another cup of coffee, but this time to include the board chairs from both organizations. Or it could be for each of the CEOs to go back and have the discussions with the board that this meeting occurred and that there are next steps, and outlining what those might be. Outlining the process is critical because it creates an action item. It creates an outcome of that meeting where there is a next step to follow up on. So it makes sure things are progressing forward, regardless of whether it's progressing forward towards a next conversation or even a no. It creates clarity in the process. So this is how to look at prioritizing the organizations that are out there and approaching the market, whether that be introducing yourself to a CEO to create conversation, but understanding that you're bringing those three critical pieces of information from a value proposition to a strategic rationale to next steps to the table. The next step in the next video that we'll put forward is going to talk about deal implementation. And this really discusses transitioning from the original piece of coffee, the original meeting with a cup of coffee, to formalizing the deal and moving from there. So we thank you for watching our video, how to prioritize and source opportunities. We hope you'll click the like button and share our video with those that you think it might be relevant to, as well as post any comments. We will leave relevant links to next videos as well as to our website, curtisstrategy.com. We thank you for watching and hope you subscribe.